and welcome to another episode of our webinar series where we talk about skin and pigmentation of skin. My name is Anutu Bagere and I'm your host today. I have a PhD in bioengineering and I have studied and worked with skin and treatment conditions for the past 10 years, understanding everything there is to know about your skin, whether it is the DNA makeup, your genetics, or your proteins and your work style or your lifestyle that leads to your skin concerns. We'll be talking about melasma today. What is melasma? Melasma is an internal condition that causes patches of skin that are a shade darker than your usual skin color. Melasma can sometimes disappear on its own, and if it doesn't, there's definitely treatments out there, including topical steroids, chemical peels, and dermabrasion, and other chemical actives that you could apply on your skin for treatment. So, melasma is fairly common skin condition. The condition causes sort of dark, discolored patches on your skin. You may have sometimes wondered if what you have is melasma, and this is important to actually get tested because when you have hyperpigmentation, it can look as melasma, and melasma can be mistaken for simple hyperpigmentation. The difference between the two being if it is purely hyperpigmentation that's coming about because of sun exposure or dark spots because of hormonal concerns, it can be resolved with topical solutions. Now, if this problem goes deeper, which it does with melasma, you could get frustrated by using these topical solutions that could cause your skin to lighten, but it doesn't necessarily solve the problem. It is not a cure, right? So it's very important to understand whether you're dealing with your garden variety hyperpigmentation or if you're dealing with melasma. And understanding this difference is key to getting a solution to the right solution at the right time and also having peace of mind for yourself. Let's talk a little bit about a sort of master guide for melasma. Now, sometimes you already know that you have melasma, other times you don't. So the question is, first, you need to identify whether you have melasma or not. And at IUNO, on our website at iuno.bio, we have something called a skin detect test that you could take at home and to know whether you have melasma or not. And leave a comment below to talk to us if you want to take this test. Now, once you know that you have melasma, you also know that sunscreen is something that you need to use, you have to use. So we're not going to cover sunscreen here. That's just a thing that you just have to take, you have to apply. Now, there are different things that works for different people, and what works can look very different for each individual, right? So for some people, melasma, the pigmentation can go away once after they've given birth or they have stopped birth control. This is, of course, when the woman is pregnant. Now, for others, it may take months of different treatments to clear up, and they can maintain results from there. And they're able to sort of, fade, they're able to get it to fade naturally with just diet alone. And then for some, there are options in terms of treatment. You have to think about it in two different ways. There's the external treatment that's treating the skin from the outside, and internal treatment that's treating the pigmentation from the inside. Now, first of all, it helps to have a dermatologist, an endocrinologist, an esthetician, or at least someone who has experience with melasma and skin and has had success. So this is so key, especially if you have darker skin. In my case, my primary dermatologist told me my hyperpigmentation wasn't melasma. That was leading to months of wasted time until a second dermatologist identified that's what it is. So it's very important to understand and confirm that you have melasma. Otherwise, most treatments that you take may or may not work for you. Now, through this journey, I learned that despite the fact that melasma is common, the harsh reality is that you will probably know more than most dermatologists walking into your appointment. And this is again another place where when you look at the skin detect test from IUNO, we look at a bunch of different proteins in there, in your blood, to identify whether you have melasma or not. So armed with this, going to your dermatologist, you can basically reduce misdiagnosis and save yourself some time and some money. So when you read on the internet, there's of course a lot of people saying this, right? But most people just say, oh, there's hormones that cause it. But there's not really an understanding of what is exactly happening. Now, it is hormones, but there's much more going on than just hormones. Hormones are a family of proteins. Now, in your proteins, in your blood, there are these proteins that create this signal for your body to actually create melanin. And when these levels of these proteins are unbalanced, are not in balance with each other, it can cause melasma or other types of pigmentation, which is why it's important to take this test, take the skin detect test, to understand what could be the cause of your pigmentation. Is it melasma? And is it because of elevated hormones related to pregnancy, related to birth control, or is it related to your metabolism and other aspects of your lifestyle, as if you're not pregnant? Which is why you could either have a group of doctors who can help you diagnose this, or you take the skin detect test to really understand what is going on inside your body for yourself and show the report to your physician to discuss your treatment plans. Now let's talk a little bit about the external route. For the internal route, of course, there are treatments and we can discuss them in part 3, but the external route, which is the more cosmetic route, we can go into a little bit more details about some of the research that's been there around melasma and how it can be resolved. There are a lot of topical agents you can use on the surface of your skin to help lighten this pigmentation. Some people have been able to even clear melasma totally over time by using just hydroquinone, for example. Now, this could be because either the melasma is only affecting the top layers of your skin and has not reached below the surface. Or it could be that it was not melasma to begin with, and it was just hyperpigmentation, and that got resolved by the hydroquinone. But generally speaking, hydroquinone in concentrations higher than 2% can be really effective in lightening the pigmentation while you figure out some of the internal solutions for yourself to solve the problem. Tretinoin is another good resource. Now, this is a form of retin A that will help your skin turn over much more faster. So when your skin's turning over much more faster, the new cells are being replenished on your skin surface, and so the amount of the darker or the older skin cells that start to have more and more melanin keep falling off, and the younger cells take its place that have a lesser amount of melanin. But of course, this has to keep going, and this has some side effects. For example, it can really irritate your skin and can cause other issues like redness, and so you will need to use some skin strengthening agents to really strengthen your skin barrier when you're using components like tretinoin, especially serums that have niacinamide or hyaluronic acid can really help strengthen your skin barrier while you're on treatments like tretinoin and hydroquinone. Now, another option is the Triluma. Now, this is often called a triple cream. It's because it's a combination of tretinoin, hydroquinone, and a steroid. Now, this cream is often not covered by insurance. However, people have had an incredible amount of success with it. I've not tried it myself personally, but I have used tretinoin and hydroquinone and seen a significant amount of fading for myself. Now, this is not a long-term solution, right? Anything that has hydroquinone or steroids cannot really be used as a long-term solution for your for your skin. And so you need to be mindful of that. The third one is topical tranexamic acid, which is available over the counter, and that have, you have a bunch of options that have this ingredient. Now, taking tranexamic acid orally, there has been some talk about how it can be more effective, but it's worth a try. But however, my opinion is that your skin is topical, is local, right? And so when you take something orally, there is not really a very high probability of it reaching your skin to actually treat that particular condition. Your skin responds much better to topical solutions as opposed to oral solutions. Continuing down the list, the next one we have is vitamin C. Now, vitamin C is great in general for hyperpigmentation, but it's not as fast acting. And sometimes if the problem's deep enough, it might not be sufficient for you. The next one is one of my favorites, which is arbutin or alpha arbutin. You want to be careful which one you pick. There's two on the market. One is alpha arbutin, the other is beta arbutin. Now, alpha arbutin is the version of the active ingredient that you want. There are several on the market, including one at Ayuno within the brightening serum section. So feel free to try that. Now, alpha arbutin is a fantastic molecule because while it is not, you don't need a prescription to get it like hydroquinone, it basically breaks down into hydroquinone on your skin, right? So it's more gentle because of that, and you can get it over the counter and don't need to get a prescription or break your bank for it. So that's one of my favorites. Alpha arbutin is something that I use almost every single day in my skincare routine. There's another one, licorice root. Now, this one is very prominent in Korean skincare, and I'm a big fan of Korean skincare. And Ayuno, my company, gets all of our formulations from Korea, and we have a lot of components of a lot of our serums have licorice root in them. Now, this is something that's very useful has been found to really help with brightening your skin and strengthening your skin barrier, which is very important when you have hyperpigmentation or melasma. Another one on the list that makes it to the list today is tamanu oil. Now, this is not very popular. It's a little bit difficult to get, but if you can get your hands on it, it's definitely worth trying if it's something that could work for you. It's been proven to lighten hyperpigmentation, but there's not really any scientific studies that have been performed specifically for melasma. So I would take it with a grain of salt, but it's definitely out there if you want to try it. Now, people do other kinds of treatments like lasers and microneedling, which are more physical in nature. Now, these are tricky because unless you have a really good technician who knows what they're doing, getting laser treatment for skin can be damaging. One, because lasers basically burning away layers of your skin, and unless you have a very strong control and the technician actually knows what they're doing, this can really lead to damaged skin. And more importantly, lasers work well for people with Fitzpatrick scale who lie on Fitzpatrick scale between 1 to 3, and does not work as well on darker skin tones such as 4, 5, and 6. So if you're brown or darker, lasers may not work very well for you because the wavelength of light that they use for lasers typically is obstructed by the melanin in your skin. Microneedling. Now, this is an interesting one because a lot of people are afraid of needles. And microneedles are basically smaller micron-sized needles that create a dent in your skin that can help it to heal, and while it's healing, it comes back new and renewed, right? So microneedling is a fairly popular technique, but I would recommend against it, mostly because your skin is so sensitive. You don't want to be poking a million holes in it and waiting for it to heal, because one, you don't know what the health of your skin is at this moment, and bruising your skin, it just to me seems very harsh of a treatment. Now, those are all some of the external treatments that exist today. Now, for more internal treatments that one could assume for melasma and other forms of hyperpigmentation, let's tune in to the next part of this webinar series next week. And until then, subscribe and follow us, and let us know in the comments if we can help you in any other way. Thank you.